Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy. It's actually been a whole week since I've been able to get out. That's perhaps not very obvious from the scheduling of the videos because they're more dictated by when I get a chance to edit them. So yeah, it's been a whole week since I've been able to get out. I thought I would finally do a tasting of the Domaine Fourrier 2022 Gevrey Chambertin that I bought from Costco. And at the time I am recording this, I did a quick check online and I'm afraid they've already sold out of this one as well. You've really got to keep checking, I think. They do seem to just sporadically have some Fourrier wines. As if you've been following along, the 2023 was on sale earlier this year, briefly, perhaps just for a couple of weeks, not exactly sure how long, and then that disappeared, and then the 2022 emerged. And again, that has also now sold out whatever batch they had of it. I think it worked out as, was this £76 for the bottle, which by Domaine Fourrier standards, very, very good price. As I've probably said many times before, you often see their village level Gevrey Chambertin going for well in excess of £100, and for good recent vintages could well be 150 sort of territory. So I think that's a pretty good price. And generally speaking, 2022 is a vintage that I have liked so far. This is still young by Fourrier standards. I'm sure any expert would put the drinking window on this as starting sort of 5 years after vintage. We're now in February 2026. I'm guessing any connoisseur would say don't touch this until at least next year, possibly even a year after that. So I'm going to be drinking this a bit young. But the 2023 was surprisingly good, I thought, and I had that last month. So i.e. that's a year younger than even this is now. This is just under 3.5 years off the vine. That was just under 2.5 years off the vine. Before I came here, I took a look at a couple of the sources of the River Fleet. Sorry, this isn't relevant to the wine at all, but there are two of the springs that feed the River Fleet. One of them goes down and initially fills up Hampstead Ponds, and the other one goes down and initially fills up Highgate Ponds. And they're a relatively short walk between the two, but they take very different paths through the rest of North London before they finally meet. Is it somewhere between Kentish Town and Camden Town, and then flow on and into the Thames. Sorry, anyway, completely non-wine related random aside there. That feels a bit weird as well. I think I've done this in a funny way. Let me start that again. Oh, no, it's coming out, I think. Bit of a pig's ear, that. But it will work. Yeah, sort of half went through the cork there, oh well. But you do that with a corkscrew anyway, don't you? Plunge through the cork. I don't know if they've possibly changed the kind of wax seal they use at Fourrier. I didn't notice this on the 2023, but the feeling of that is a lot more sort of stretchy and elastic feeling. Normally it's quite brittle, it's sort of like candle wax pretty much. That has a kind of bit of give to it, which is a bit different. Slightly murky colour, isn't it? It's a red-ish, but I've got bits in it as well. Reddish, but a tiny bit of browning to that. Almost slight sort of purpley hint, in fact, if anything. Interesting. Pre-swirl, faint hint of red berry fruit. Oh, I don't know, maybe a hint of something cherry-like as well. All a little bit distant to begin with. I think that does need a bit of waking up. In fact, this probably needs quite a lot of waking up, I imagine, because it is, as I say, very young. But the 2023 was surprisingly good right from the word go. Cherry-ish, little bit. Little bit sort of Morello, maraschino cherry, sort of cherries in a jar. And I think I'm getting a bit of earthy Sous-Bois there as well. Yeah, pretty sure there's a bit of mushroom in with the cherry. That's a familiar combination. I've noticed that a couple of times before in these Domaine Fourriers. Something slightly woody and slightly floral in with that as well. It's not a bad start though. The cherry there is like I say, slightly like preserved cherries in a jar, but it's also pretty at the same time, if those two things don't contradict. And that bit of mushroomy, sous-bois earthiness. The ground around here is pretty churned up and muddy and filled with rotting leaves, so it could just be a background aroma, but I'm pretty sure there is a bit of sous-bois there. Okay. Nice first sip. A sort of seriousness to that mouthfeel. It's pretty smooth, pretty silky. Reasonable amount of savoury character in amongst that cherry, and again a kind of seriousness to the cherry there. It's not bright, fresh, youthful cherry and or berry fruit. Again, it does have that slight sort of preserved feel. I'm getting more of a sense of, it's not exactly sous-bois on the palate, but something sort of slightly earthy and slightly more, you know, grown up and serious there. It has a slight gaminess to it, very slight gaminess, or possibly even meatiness or sanguinous quality. I think sanguine's a different word, isn't it? Or bloody sort of quality, but they're all subtle. And I think this would probably be a good food wine, the sort of wine to have with a steak, I imagine. But all of those things are quite subtle, certainly not going as over the top as the 2021 was. And it gives it quite a nice sort of extra bit of interest, savoury character, foodie sort of character, actually. But all the while, there is also this nice streak of cherry. I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't want to say restrained, because that sounds like I'm struggling to notice it. It's definitely there, but it's dignified. Is that perhaps the right word? A kind of cherry that's sort of restrained in an elegant way. I'm not quite sure I'm getting to the bottom of that notion there, but also quite a nice bright acidity to that, which I'm really enjoying. I don't really get the sense, a bit like the 2023, I think that was probably a bit more youthful and fruity, but I really don't get the sense of a very young Burgundy here, something that's only barely three and a half years off the vine. That's a lot more serious, I think, already at this stage. I'd say it also gives a slightly sort of bigger feel than some Fourrier wines. As I often say, I think they tend to practice a lighter style of extraction, so you get these kind of elegant, pensive, considered wines. That's a funny string of words. But this is more serious. It's certainly not a massive, big, muscular sort of a Gevrey Chambertin, but it's definitely serious. That's the word that seems to keep coming to mind. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It's not something that's difficult to get to like. It is, I think, very likeable from this very first glass. But it certainly doesn't seem youthful and inconsequential. It's got a sort of seriousness to it. I like that. I think it will suit this weather as well, this slightly drippy, miserable weather. I'm getting dripped on from above. I'm sure we'll have another proper shower later on. All the browns of the rotting leaves towards the tail end of winter here. There are little signs over there of spring starting to think about showing its head. Green shoots over there, which I assume are going to grow into bluebells a good month or two from now. Sorry, it's not relevant to the wine, is it? Other than saying that I think that this slightly pensive, slightly serious, engaged wine suits somehow this wintry brown environment. I've probably gone on far too long, haven't I already? I seem to have a bad habit of doing that, but I'm pretty happy with that in its current state. If I have any amazing revelations, I think I have at least another hour, half an hour I can sit here for, so if I have any amazing revelations with a subsequent glass, I'll come back to you, but if not, yeah, pretty good. Sorry it's now no longer available from Costco. I suppose the key takeaway is, if you do like Domaine Fourrier Gevrey Chambertin, and if you happen to already have a Costco membership of some form, then just keep an eye on the website, because they do seem to pop up there now and again, and they're often short-lived, a few weeks. But it is, I think, a bargain when they do put it up for sale, and particularly, 2022 vintage. It's certainly not something that you're going to have to, I think, in my opinion, not something you're going to have to put in the cellar and not be able to touch for years. It obviously will get better. Most experts would recommend you do give that another couple of years, but I think it's really quite interesting and attention grabbing as it is now. Stop waffling on. Cheers.